Maybe people will come in. Welcome to our Presidio sales meeting. I'm Steve Perry. I'm the Chief Operations Officer of the company. Jen asked me to sit in today and conduct this meeting. We're gonna have some great training from Amy here in a little bit. First, we're gonna go over our needs and wants. Does anybody have any needs and wants? Buyers, sellers, anything that you wanna ask about? Okay, we're gonna move on. All right, our broker moment is about, we usually use these broker moments from the issues and things that we're seeing throughout the week. One we saw this time was time for acceptance. So remember that there is no response time on these contracts and addendums. It's either acceptance, counteroffer, or rejection. And if they are going to accept it, they have to do it within the time frame or write an addendum correcting, adjusting the acceptance period. If they don't do that, then it is a voidable contract, and we have an issue going on right now where it's a possible voidable contract because they came back 2 days later and accepted the contract. So it is technically out of contract, but you can both parties move forward. However, if there's going to be somebody wanting to back out, that's a good reason, and they have an opportunity to try to back out. Any thoughts or questions on that? Okay, moving forward. No class tomorrow, it says. These are the classes that we have for the upcoming week. So look at those, look for those online, look for on our website, our front end, back end, our education calendar has everything where you can sign up for the classes. All right, these are our closers for last week. Congratulations, we had 50 closings last week, which is awesome. Dream Estates had 3, Jen Corbin had 4, Nick had 6. I mean, he's a rock star, right? A lot of people had 3 closings, 2 closings. So congratulations, good job everybody, last week's closings. All right, our announcement is that on May 7th, we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary with an open house. It'll be in our Pleasant Grove office. Just come in and go between 11 and 3. We are, if you're want to wear a mask, wear a mask. We're trying to stay by the guidelines. If we get over 50 people, everybody has to wear a mask. So come celebrate with us our 10-year anniversary this Friday from 11 to 3 at the Pleasant Grove office. Lots of giveaways and fun things that we're going to be doing. And so, okay, is Jack Andrews on to do our affiliate minute? I don't know who's on, so. Is he on with Edge? Mm-hmm. Nope. Okay, how about Patrick or Corey from HWA, Home Warranty of America? This is gonna go quick. All right, Paul, I know you're on from Lunetta Home Loans.
Yeah, yeah, thank you for the minute here. Steve, it's just, it's gonna be exciting to have the anniversary, 10-year anniversary on Friday, and hopefully a lot of you come in so we can get a chance to meet and get to know each other a little bit better. But as being a loan officer, it's really important for us to have a good relationship with the realtors. And so when you refer somebody to us to help them with the loan, I mean, a lot of times, you know, we hear where a realtor will spend time showing houses to a client and not even realize whether they're qualified or not, or how much they can qualify for. And so when that time comes, especially in this market, when you put all this time into getting offer accepted, the last thing you want to do is, now let's see if they can afford the house. And so oftentimes just bring them to us and we'll work with them. And if they're not in a position to where they don't realize they can't qualify, we can find out why they can't qualify. And then we'll put together a game plan for them and let them know exactly what they need to do to get their credit up or to get more money in reserves for their down payment. And we'll really work with them through from start to finish to make sure they can get qualified. And then obviously once they're qualified and they're ready to purchase the house, we'll make it a really simple process for them and as well as for you as the realtor. So don't hesitate to bring them to us. We're willing to help them in any situation. So I'll leave it at that, and I hope to see a lot of you and meet a lot of you on Friday. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Paul. And if you saw on our Facebook post that we are announcing that Lunetta Home Loans is a partner with us. Jen is part owner in that company, and so we have our own mortgage company now. We've had many failed attempts at partnering up with other lenders, and so we just decided to go out and partner up with one and have them be part of our own company. So we'll have more announcements and more fun things that we're going to be doing with Lunetta. Okay, Patrick, you're here. Go for it.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Pat with Home Warranty of America, and I just wanted to, send a big shout out to everybody. Thank you. I'm starting to see more orders come in, and that's just great news. Really, really appreciate it. I'm excited to save your buyers money on their, unexpected and costly home repairs and systems replacements. So keep up the great work. We've still got that promo running where every buyer is going to receive a free home security camera. So HWA is putting home protection at the forefront of our coverage and giving your homeowners a free digital video camera. So it's going to be a great add to their security on their home. So thank you again. Appreciate it, Steve.
You bet. Thanks, Pat. Okay, I do want to welcome those that may or may not be with Presidio. People I don't know, I haven't met you yet. So welcome. Someday, hopefully we'll get to meet each other. But right now, we're going to go ahead and turn the time over for our educator, which is Amy with White Knight Insurance. Amy, take it away.
Oops, I was on mute. Sorry about that. Can you all see my screen? Okay, perfect. I'm not sure how to do that cool little thing that you did, so it's just only the screen, Steve. But anyway, my name is Amy with White Knight Insurance Solutions. We are a preferred insurance carrier for Presidio. I'm gonna switch my screen to here so you can see a little bit better. All right. So our goal here at White Knight is obviously protecting you for license certainties and exceeding customers' expectations through building relationships and working together as a team with honesty, integrity, while providing you peace of mind. And really, that's what insurance is you've worked really hard all your life to build up an empire for your family, whether that's typically through your home. And our job is to make sure that your assets are protected or your clients' assets are protected. Currently with White Knight, we are licensed in property and casualty. We do have some life, health, accident, and do a little bit of Medicare. White Knight specializes in small business insurance, earthquake, and flood. This would be flood, especially for your clients, if you have any clients in flood zones. Pet insurance, event liability. We also specialize in manufactured and mobile homes. These are homes sometimes can be quite hard for to find insurance that will cover these types of homes. We also do Airbnbs. So if you have clients that are looking for insurers for their Airbnb, and also log homes. So I know there's a lot of people that are moving kind of up into higher protection class areas, up in kind of like Wanship and up there. So we do have the opportunity to be able to cover those homes as well. So today we're going to kind of do an insurance 101. We're going to learn a little bit about the basics of insurance, and then how does insurance, or what can insurance do to help you build value for your clients? Obviously, we're not expecting you to be an insurance expert, but this will just kind of give you a little bit of insight and also kind of give you a step up from, a step above the rest for your clients. Okay, so we'll start with what types of insurance are there? Well, obviously we have the what's called an HO3 or your homeowners. This is your single family homes. You have an HO6, which is going to be your condo and your townhomes, where they'll either they'll have an HOA that actually owns the structure and they own from the walls in, or you can actually have a home where the homeowner covers the structure and the HOA just kind of covers the maintenance of the property. And then you have obviously the renters. And then you have what's called a dwelling fire or a landlord policy, which means that it's non-owner occupied and you're renting it in some capacity to others. Okay, so those are the different types of the policies. So what is covered? Okay, so what is covered in a homeowner's policy? This is a question I get a lot. So basically we're going to cover the structure. Obviously that is the initial dwelling of the home. Okay. We'll cover it's called other structures. So any sheds, barns, detached garage, gazebos, anything that is on the property that is not attached to the house that would be considered a structure. The policy will cover personal property. This is anything from like your clothing, your electronics, your furniture, anything we say that you can dump. If you dumped your house upside down, anything that would fall out would be considered your personal property. Liability. So liability refers to injury to others on your property. If someone, say you have some steps and there's no railing and it's icy and they fall down and they break their back, that, because the injury occurred on your property, would need to be covered by your property liability insurance. Most insurances, even if it's like your family member and they say, oh, it's going to be fine, their insurance company is probably going to come back and segregate from the home insurance. So it's very, very important. And we have different limits of liability is different for a renter versus different for a homeowner as well. So we like to keep an eye on that and make sure that liability is covered. Loss of use is basically if your house were to, could be a complete and total loss of use is going to give you funds to rent, to either if you have to get a hotel, replace clothing, going to have to, just anything that you would need to kind of get back on your feet until your house was rebuilt. Loss assessment, this is a big one, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more. Loss assessment is obviously if you have an HOA that assesses any type of loss, whether it's, it can be as simple as a catastrophic loss or even if like a new roof, loss assessment coverage is going to help in that area. There's also a little bit of coverage for building ordinance law, which basically means if they change the ordinances or to make it so that your house is up to code, then there's a little bit of coverage for that as well as inflation protection. And this one is so important right now. If anybody has seen the cost of lumber and how much this has gone up, that this inflation protection gives you a little bit of coverage if the materials that they need to rebuild your home skyrockets. That's where inflation protection is going to come in. Do you have any questions as far as anything that if you have any questions of what would be covered on a policy? Okay, so we'll kind of go on. So this is really important of what is not covered. So I have a lot of people that come to me and say, isn't this covered on homeowners insurance? Or I bought this property and my agent or my friend, they said this would be covered. So it's really important for you to kind of know what's not covered so that if you see any of these or you hear any of them mentioned, that you have a resource to go to. So first of all is flood. Flood insurance is never covered on a homeowner's policy. It is a separate policy that you can get. We could get it through FEMA if your home is in a flood zone or your client's home is in a flood zone, or there are a couple of private carriers. Earthquake is also not covered on any homeowner's policy, except a few given carriers are now letting that coverage be included in their policy, but it's gonna be almost like an endorsement. Okay. Normal wear and tear. Homeowners are always expected to maintain the property and repair is needed. If you see or you have a leak and you think, oh, I'll just let it, not worry about it, and it ends up being a bigger leak, then the insurance most likely is going to come in and say, hey, this started about 2 months ago, looking kind of by the way of the damages, and you didn't take care of it then. And they have the right to not to use at their discretion as to whether or not to cover that. Infestation for mice, termites, pests, bugs, bed bugs, that is not covered under a home insurance policy. There might be a few carriers out there that do have an endorsement for it, but if that's going to be very few and far between. Of course, government action, if someone were to come in and have to take over your home, whether that be like a police raid, that's not going to be covered under your insurance. Equipment breakdown. Basically, that means that your refrigerator, your washer and dryer, your dishwasher, none of that is covered under insurance unless you have a special endorsement. Not all carriers cover that endorsement, but I have had, can't tell you how many phone calls I've had of someone calling and saying, hey, my refrigerator just died, I need to file a claim. Fortunately, your refrigerator is not covered under your home insurance unless your carrier has a specific endorsement for equipment breakdown. And also faulty workmanship. If you, your Uncle Sam came over and added a bathroom to your house and he screwed up the plumbing and didn't do very good work, and it's really faulty and something goes south, insurance is probably not going to cover that. Service lines. So what this service lines is you have the pipes that go from your home to the outside of the curb. Those are actually called service lines and they are not covered under your typical home insurance policy. This would be like your sewer lines, your main water line, and your sprinklers. Now, it is becoming more common now that carriers are offering, again, an endorsement to have these service lines covered. So where this would maybe come into play is if you had a client that was purchasing maybe a fixer-upper, an old 1819, early 1900s home that have those big, beautiful trees in the yard. This is a great chance for you to say, on this home, you'll want to make sure you have service line coverage. And why is that important? Because those trees, typically if that home is 100 years old plus, and with those big trees, it's going to be pretty common that those tree roots at some time, if they haven't already, have penetrated those service lines. And with that, service line repairs can be upwards in the $12,000 to $15,000. So that would be an example of which you could use your knowledge of saying, oh, these trees are so beautiful. You probably ought to make sure you have service line coverage on your policy, your home insurance policy, to make sure that from the outside of the house to the curb is covered. That's another example. Mold is obviously there is some mold coverage in policies, but again, this is where it plays in for negligence or failure to perform maintenance. And always, as with old and faulty workmanship, it's always going to be up to the claims adjuster's discretion. So one claims adjuster could be more empathetic to your situation where another one could not. And so it's just always better to make sure that you just kind of follow proper maintenance guidelines and make sure that you have licensed contractors and such to, do any work that needs to be performed in the home, or make sure that you do know who's doing the work knows what they're doing. So with that, we've talked a little bit about a couple of what coverages could be added to a home policy to provide extra value. So here's another one where just with your knowledge that you could suggest to your clients would be water. First would be water backup. And this should actually say water sewer backup. If you're on a typical home policy, if your toilets were to overflow, or it's some of the older homes where they have the sewer drain that goes through into the basement, if this happens to back up or your toilets overflow, it would not be covered on a typical home policy. You would need to have this endorsement. And this again can be very expensive if if you have a child and your toilet overflows and they close the door and you go to the park for the whole day. That could go down into your heat vents. It can ruin tile and drywall, and all that can add up very, very quickly. So that's a really important. We include that on every policy that we write here automatically, and then you have the option to increase those coverages. Replacement on contents. This is extremely important because if you bought a couch, you obviously, and something happens catastrophic, you want to replace your couch. Without replacement cost, which is the key word here, they would do cost minus depreciation. So you could have a 10-year-old couch that maybe you paid $1,000 for, and 10 years ago, it's still in great condition. It's a total loss. They're going to take the 10 years of depreciation off that couch if you don't have replacement cost. So that couch could actually maybe be worth $50, and that's what you're going to get for the couch. I don't know any couches that you can really purchase for $50, a nice one. So replacement cost, if your policies don't have replacement cost, you want to just check them and make sure that you see that wording of replacement cost on contents. Riders for high value property. So a lot of policies have policy limits for things like furs, guns, jewelry, silverware, any of those, I think, and it's generally only about $2,500. So if you have some high value guns, you have high value jewelry, even bicycles, you'll want to make sure you do a rider for those separately. And also what that does is instead of having to pay your homeowner's deductible, you don't pay a deductible to replace those items. You say I had a wedding ring for $5,000 and you lose it, the insurance company is going to pay out $5,000 without any deductible. Obviously earthquake, we've had a couple of those shakes here, a couple, was it a year or so ago? And unfortunately, after every earthquake, there is a moratorium period, I think of about 10 to 30 days, depending on your carrier, where you cannot write an earthquake policy. So it's always one of those things, it's better to have it before you need it. Some policies will offer identity theft, which can help in the aid if that heaven forbid you ever fall prey to that. And a new coverage the two new coverages that the insurance companies have come out with, again, is the service line coverage that we talked about, and then also better roof replacement. Typically, insurance companies they've been kind of sticklers on how they replace your roof because of the age. They look at the age of it and they look at the craftsmanship of it. And now they're coming out saying that you can have a roof. It's kind of like replacement cost on your contents. It's replacement cost on your roof. So no matter what happens, whether, your roof can just be replaced in full. So these are really some things that are really important that can add value. Of course, one of the biggest things here in Utah and for everybody is premium, right? We want to get the best bang for our buck. And insurance is one of those, what I call a necessary evil, in that we hate to pay for it, but you certainly are so grateful to have it when you do have it. And insurance is really not something you want to skimp on. Because when you do need it, you'll wish that you really hadn't. So what our job is to make sure that we get you the best possible coverage for the lowest premium. So we are an independent broker, which means we have access to about 18 different carriers. And so we put you and your client's information in our database, and it spits out to all 18 carriers, and then we choose which carrier is going to have the best premium and the best coverage to suit your needs. So some of the things that we can look at that may increase the homeowner's premium is, first and foremost, Utah is a credit-based state, which means they look at your credit for your premiums. So the better your credit, the better your rate on your insurance. There's only a few states that are not credit-based, which one of them being California, and they go by on the home that can't, and the auto it's by the mileage. So you really want to encourage your clients to keep a great credit score, because every renewal they'll rerun it. And so if your credit has changed from the beginning of the year to the end of your renewal, say like your renewal premium, you can expect an increase on your insurance as well.
Hey, Amy.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
No, go ahead. I can't see you, so I appreciate you interrupting.
okay. On my screen, I don't see any of the slides you've been doing, and I was waiting. I don't know if anyone else, I don't know if it's my computer has just frozen. I only see the rhinos.
Oh, you do?
But I don't know if anyone else is anyone else having that problem, or is it just my computer?
I'm seeing what you're seeing.
You're only seeing rhinos?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just the rhinos.
Okay. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought because we had talked earlier, you had different slides. So I thought I'd mention that.
I do. I'm really glad you said something because I don't know why.
Okay. I didn't want to interrupt you. So hopefully,
Now
there
can
we
you
go.
see it?
Yeah, that looks, yep, that's it.
I am so sorry.
So maybe more people can have something to say now if they can see the screen. So
I am so sorry that you,
no, great.
that you interrupted me. Okay, so my apologies. You guys are all kind of floating and like going, what in the heck is she talking about? So we'll go right here. So if everybody can see that. All right. So it's like we said, Utah is a credit-based state. The better your credit, the better your rate. These are things that will increase a homeowner's premium. Okay, so you have a high number of previous claims. We all know that's what insurance is for, right? If something happens, you make a claim. But honestly, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. If you decide that you want to file a claim for everything that happens in your home, even as small things, that's going to affect you in the long run. And generally if you have more than 3 claims in like 3 years, insurance is going to start throwing up some red flags, and it's going to either affect your premium or they'll choose not to insure you. So we say, okay, so then what is insurance for then? If you can't even file a claim, then what is it for? Well, you really want to use your insurance for, we say, anything that's 1.5 times over your insurance deductible. That's when we would recommend filing a claim. So if you have $1,000 deductible and your claim is really going to only be like $1,500, probably not the best idea to file a claim and maybe to try and self-insure that claim, because you'll pay more for your premiums in the long run. If you live in a high crime neighborhood, that's obviously going to affect your insurance rates, and rates do change per zip code. And how they do that is they're going to look at things like how many stoplights are in your area, what is the crime rate, how many people in your area have filed claims from, whether it's water or wind. So all of those things are going to come into effect as far as your zip code goes. Another big thing is certain dog breeds. This is another huge thing that's come up in the last 3 years through insurance. Dogs such as Dobermans, Pit Bulls, Chows, Akitas, anything with a wolf hybrid history, or dogs with a past bite history. These are going to affect your insurance premiums. And honestly, there are quite a few carriers are now coming out and saying, if you have any of these breeds of dogs and they don't have what's called a certified canine citizen certificate, which means they've been through some obedience training and stuff, then they won't even cover them. The next one is a pool. Obviously, you have a pool, your risk is going to be higher on your home, and so they're going to rate as such. And a pool, as with city and county codes, must have a fence around it if you are going to have a pool. But most carriers will do what's called a surcharge for a pool. Trampoline is another huge one. And here is the thing on trampolines. In Utah, they are huge. They are big. Everybody in the family has a trampoline. If your carrier does not know that you have a trampoline and someone gets hurt on your trampoline, your insurance will not cover it. So say maybe you had your insurance for 5 or 6 years and, oh, for Christmas, grandma and grandpa gave your kids a trampoline and you don't think anything of it, but your neighbor falls off and breaks his leg. Chances are their insurance is going to want to subrogate your insurance. And if your insurance didn't know you have a trampoline, they probably won't cover that. And then you will be responsible for those charges. Some carriers will not cover trampolines at all whatsoever. Other carriers have specific guidelines, like your yard has to be completely fenced. You must have a net and the trampoline must be anchored to the ground in order to have them. So you'll want to definitely check with the carrier. And if you have a client that you know has a trampoline, that may be something you can mention. Hey, make sure your carrier covers trampolines, because you'll be very surprised if all of a sudden you have something come up and your insurance won't cover it. And you don't really think about it if you get it for a gift or you've had your insurance forever or what have you. But that is one thing that insurance is really cracking down on. Insurance, trampoline claims have skyrocketed over the last couple of years, and especially this last year with COVID, because everybody's home, the kids are home more, the neighbors are all outside, and so very important. It doesn't seem very important at the time, but it is very important coverage that you look at. Antique homes. Now, these are homes built in the early 1900s. A lot of these homes are complete brick. They have a lot of intricate detail, a lot of woodworking. And so the cost to replace those is going to obviously be more. It's really going to be hard to replace the same type of brick that they had maybe in the 1900s. And so they're going to have to account to that when they're trying to calculate rates. And another big one is the age of your roof. Roof is another huge one that all the carriers look at. The older your roof, the less of a discount or more of a premium you're going to pay, because eventually they're going to say, okay, your roof is going to be, it's on its last leg. This can open up other, avenues for further claims, whether it's water or wind damage and such. So if the better shape, the better, newer your roof, the better premium you're going to get on your home policy. So in conjunction with that, so we know what increases, what can increase our home policy, but as opposites attract, what can decrease a homeowner's premium? So obviously, number one is good credit. That's going to be first and foremost. New builds, obviously, there's not a lot. Everything's new. Things are working well. So that's going to have a factor. New roof, we've talked about that. Bundling their home with their auto or bundling their home with another policy line, whether that's a boat, ATVs, another rental property. Anytime you have more than one insurance line, that's always going to give you a discount on your insurance premiums. Using an independent broker versus a captive broker. So White Knight Insurance is, like I said, we are an independent broker. We have access to many different carriers. Comparing that to someone like State Farm or Farmers, which they only write their product. We have the opportunity to have the carriers compete where they would not. So we can offer a lot of different options and a lot of different premiums. We can customize coverages where generally the other competitors just have one type of a package. Good student discounts. If you have teenagers or your clients have teenagers, always let them know that there is, if you have a 3.0 grade point average or better, there's a huge discount in Utah for teen drivers with good student discounts. And also if they have taken driver's ed. We're talking like $200 to $300 minimum a year, which can make a pretty good difference. And then a new thing that they're kind of doing in the last couple of years is carrier longevity. So but basically what carrier longevity is the longer you are with your current carrier, the more of a discount you're going to get on the back end. So they've made this because it's kind of been a thing that everybody changes insurance carriers every year. well, my rate went up, so now I'm going to change. And they're there for their year, and then their rate went up, so they're going to change. So basically what the carriers are doing is giving you a larger discount for the longer you stay with your current carrier. So if you've been with your current carrier for more than a year, you're going to get a larger discount. If you've been with them for 3 years, you're going to get a larger discount. Now, so okay, well then why would I ever change? Well, after about 3 years, honestly, your carrier discounts start to diminish almost to nothing. So our recommendation at White Knight is after about every 3 years, you review your policy and start shopping and looking if a carrier has a better rate. And here at White Knight, we have an automatic system that already that tells us, okay, these clients have been here for 3 years, and we're already going to start a reshop for you without you even knowing. And then we call you and say, hey, you're at your 3-year review. Here's some options for you that might save you some money. So that makes it really nice. So another thing is after you, so one of the things that really brings value to you as real estate agents is when you're selling a home, these are things that you can be aware of. What home insurance inspectors, now home insurance inspector is obviously going to be different than an inspector that does, the real estate inspection, the inspection of the home. The insurance, after we've written a policy and we've issued it, carriers are going to send out their own third-party inspector to inspect certain things that they're looking for to make sure that the risk is going to be what they want to write. And so with your knowledge of some of these things that the inspector is going to look for, it can kind of give you an idea of things that might throw up red flags for your clients when they're looking at a home. And I know I've heard from the grapevine, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that even some of these home inspections are being, they're not doing home inspections. They're forgoing these home inspections. So this is even more important so that you know what could potentially cause problems down the line. So the first one would be peeling exterior paint. This kind of tells the inspector, number one, that maybe the property hasn't been maintained well, and number two, that maybe there's some type of water damage that hasn't been corrected. So they're going to look for peeling paint. They're going to look for overgrown vegetation. Again, that comes back to what's underneath that vegetation. Is it gone into the foundation or the brickwork? So overgrown vegetation. Trees that touch the structure, and vines. Insurance companies don't like it, especially the trees that hang over. If that tree falls, of course, then it damages the home. So if you have any properties that maybe the trees are hanging over or the vines have kind of gone all up in the house, you might suggest that those be cut back. Yard debris, if there's a lot of old cars or just kind of like construction debris, just in general, that it doesn't look like the property is being well taken care of, that's going to throw up a red flag, and the insurance inspector is going to report that to the underwriters. Cracks in the foundation is a big one as well. And also the driveway and the sidewalks. And I've had people ask me, what is the driveway and the sidewalk? What does that matter? Well, it's a trip hazard, obviously. And if someone, if you've had sinking concrete and it's a trip hazard, then obviously that will fall on the liability of the insurance. So they really like to make sure, if there's a small hairline crack in the sidewalk or the driveway, that's not going to be a huge deal. We're talking if it's completely unlevel and there's a big lip, that would make it so that someone did in fact trip and fall. The age of the roof. Generally, insurance companies will only write if your roof is less than 18 years old. Once it gets to be around the 18 to 20, they're either going to have a stipulation that you completely replace the roof, or that you exclude it altogether from your policy. So they're going to want to have the roof maintained. And even if the roof is less than 18, say maybe it's only 15 and maybe you've had to have some repairs, anything that has more than 2 layers is not going to be writable. They're going to ask you to replace the entire roof. So you want to, kind of pay close attention to that. And then again, we have the trampolines in the fenced yard. they're going to look for it, and then they're going to report it to your insurance company. And if your insurance carrier that we've chosen doesn't know that you have it and they don't allow for it, they will give you the stipulation to either remove and take the trampoline down, or they will non-renew or cancel your policy. So very, very, very important. The last thing on here is what is absolutely not insurable. And I know we had this come up in the Presidio family Facebook group, is the polybutylene pipes. And a lot of people are like, what the heck are polybutylene pipes? They don't even, we don't know what to look for. So on this slide, you can see right here, this is a polybutylene piping. It's used in the late 60s to early 90s. The pipes are gray, but they can also have a copper or brass plastic connectors right here. These are very common. So the polybutylene has proven to have an unusually high failure rate under normal operating conditions. And insurance companies are just saying, nope. If there is any polybutylene piping in the home, it's an automatic denial. They won't write it. And the second one is an old fuse system. And I had no idea. I knew they existed. I didn't know what they look like, but this is exactly what an old fuse system versus a circuit breaker that we have, a breaker box that most homes have now. Again, these are in the homes from the late 60s to the early 90s. These look, when you take them out, they look like an old light bulb, and they actually screw in. And yes, homes actually do have these still in their home. They have a high rate of malfunctioning, causing the high probability, and the most is causing fires because they short out, they're old, and it's super hard and super expensive to find replacement fuses. And insurance companies, again, it's a question on every questionnaire. And if you have an older home, the insurance inspector is going to request an interior and exterior inspection. And this is what they're looking for in the interior inspections is the polybutylene pipes and the old fuse system, and then any damage, like water damage that has not currently been repaired. So you'll want to keep those both in mind for both your buyers and sellers. If you see these two things especially, it's a huge red flag. Insurance will not. I'd hate for you to go ahead and sell the home only to come and have the new homeowner try and get insurance and then run into a dead end and not be able to insure the home, because we all know that will obviously also cause problems for the mortgagee. Mortgagee is going to want the home insured, and if nobody will insure it, then we've got a big problem. So big, huge things right here that is not insurable. So like we said, White Knight we have an office right there in the Presidio building. I'm available at any time to answer any questions you have for yourself, family, friends, or any of your insureds. One of the things that I didn't put on here, but we do offer to Presidio agents, is a free clue report for any home that you family, you clients are looking to purchase. What a clue report is, it's a 7-year history of any claims that have been reported on that property, water, anything. We can give you a 7-year history, and we give it to our Presidio agents at free of charge. So all you have to do is call me up, give me the address. I can run the clue report and tell you if anything major has happened with that home. And that basically what that does, it gives you kind of obviously a little bit of an insight to say maybe things that you should be looking at to make sure they have been repaired. Again, this all brings value for you to your client, things that you might not think about, or maybe they wouldn't think about. And we're not asking you to be an insurance expert, just things that you might be aware of, and have to be a resource. If you don't know the answer or you have a question, we are here at to answer any questions you have at any time. And of course, if you have friends or family and you want to take advantage of our, we pride ourselves on our superior customer service. I'm always here to answer the phone, answer any questions, no matter if it's just a small question. I answer my phone late at night on the weekends. We want to make sure that we are a resource for you and your clients at all times. So if you have any questions, that we can answer those for you. My phone number here, if you want to take that down and keep it in your phone as a contact, as well as my email address, whichever is easy for you. And it could be as simple as just referring your clients to our website, which is the www.whiteknightins.com. They can request a quote. They can reach out to me. There's a little text chat in there that they can text me and answer. I can answer any questions that they may have as well. So I hope this gives you a little bit of insight today of kind of how just basic knowledge of insurance can bring some value to your business as an agent, and things to look for like the service line coverage and the water backup. It can just give you a little bit of a step above the rest of the agents that you are working with. I appreciate your time. And if there's any questions, I'll go ahead and open it up to, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer those for you. All good. Awesome. Okay, well, if we don't have any questions, then we'll go ahead and we're pretty much done.
Yep,
Thank you
thanks
so
Amy.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're just gonna wrap it up. Thanks for joining us in our sales meeting. Again, I guess there's no class tomorrow, so take note of that. But please join us for our 10-year celebration on Friday. We'd love to meet you guys and see you there from 11 to 3 in our Pleasant Grove office. Thanks and have a great day.
Great, thank you.